Let's say, for example, if you're only betting on the power sector, then of course, it's better to go directly to AC Energy. If you're looking at a more diversified portfolio na parang, teka muna, baka hindi pa sigurado yung power nila. So dito na lang ako sa sa Ayala Corporation. It's a matter of choice whether you're really buying the power story or you're really buying the Ayala Corporation story.
Okay, Lexer Azurin, we're here to talk about AC Energy, which is something relatively new. Pero Ayala Corp, over the past years naman, they've been really positioning also to have a piece of the energy business. So before I drill into a lot of questions, for those who have not really looked at what AC Energy is, can you tell people more about it and what makes it so interesting right now?
Just a quick background. So this was actually, in fact, acquired by the Ayala Group from the FINMA Corporation. So in fact, we used to be a FINMA affiliated company, so AB Capital, and then eventually sold to Mrs. G. But then, so eventually FINMA Group sold the power company to the Ayala Group back in 2019, June 2019. So selling about, of course, the majority stake for about 3.4 billion pesos. It's still a small company eventually becoming a power player in the sector, literally and figuratively. Power sector is correlated to the growth of the economy. Of course, when the economy expands, then demand for power will also be there. Compared to the likes of the other power sectors, this one, AC Energy, since it was recently just acquired by the Ayala family from the FINMA Group. So medyo mas maliit pa to. But has the potential to grow near the scale or even surpass the scales of the likes of Aboitiz Power and even FGen. I guess if you're trying to ask whether it has more potential, I think that's a definite yes. Sa the past few years, the Philippines there is that huge demand also for power, especially as the economy starts to recover. Then of course demand for electricity will also be there. Power crisis we've experienced the past few years, given the lack also of capacity here in the Philippines, that space. Currently, I believe they have maybe less than 500 megawatts in capacity compared to the likes of Aboitiz Power and even FGen. Those companies are already operating at around 3,000, at least 3,000 megawatts. So you can see actually the potential of AC Energy. This one is more catered into renewable energy. So these are clean energies.
You mentioned that Ayala acquired it from the FINMA Group, but they have been already operating when they were under FINMA. What makes it so different? Is it just the Ayala brand or the capital infusion, or they just have a greater vision to expand it? What makes this more compelling? Nandun na naman siya when FINMA was already operating it.
I believe Ayala Corp also has put in the expertise, of course, in the sector. It also visions the potential of the sector as a whole. They have the financial capability or also to expand their business. So at least in terms of financial power, in terms of expansion plans, in terms of vision, I do believe there's a certain reason why the Ayala has acquired this from the FINMA Corporation. It's not just entering the power sector. At least they already got a jump start from the FINMA Corporation since it already has some assets in place. So it's a matter of growing further the business, specifically for the renewable side. As early as 2021, the company is expected to report already significant profit since a lot of projects are in the pipeline already, whether it's under construction or looking to acquire more power assets.
You mentioned that Aboitiz Power is around 3,000 megawatts and then ACEN is around 500 megawatts. For them to scale up and hit that cap, as an analyst, you're looking at how many years would it take also for them to be able to be at almost the same capacity as Aboitiz?
It will probably take them quite a few years. It will also depend on how they expand, whether they're going to build new power plants or whether they're acquiring power plants. Kasi it's different. First, when you're building a power plant, that takes a while. Normally, it takes around 3 years to put up a power plant. So definitely that will take a lot of time. For them to grow the business, it has to be a combination of both, whether putting up new power plants and acquiring existing power plants.
I really believe the Philippines is behind other countries. And if you look at Europe, the push is really renewable energy. And there will come a time that the Philippines will just follow suit. So if it's happening in other countries that everyone's trying to save the earth, lesser carbon emissions, mangyayari sa atin yun that you will see more and more renewable energy sources. As an investor right now, and then if kunyari we're looking at the numbers, 2018, FINMA/ASEN lost money. 2019, they also lost money. Then second quarter 2020, boom, sudden surge. As an investor looking at past income, wala pa siyang track record eh. How do I make a decision if it's worth coming into, or should I wait for better earnings already, or I jump the gun with the promise pa lang na matatapos ng mga projects na to?
So that's the bet right now, whether they can succeed with their plans. And especially with the track record of Ayala Corporation. We all know throughout the past few years or even decades, the Ayala Corporation has so far, they have managed all their companies well. So it's a matter of, who is managing your company as a shareholder. There's that optimism also that Ayala has the financial capability, it has the expertise to expand. In terms of growth prospects, investors do believe since the acquisition of Ayala, the company will grow at a faster pace, at a more sustainable pace. Since the acquisition also, there are certain operational efficiencies that were implemented. So even if you set aside the one-off gain that it recorded in 2019, and so I guess those are some of the factors that investors are willing to pay. So it's really the prospect. Investors are buying the prospects of the company. Investors are buying what it can be. So basically the potential of the company as a whole.
For those who don't know AC Energy, Aboitiz is primarily Visayas, Mindanao. Where do you think their focus will be in terms of either acquisition or plans that they will put up?
I do believe that that the expansion will come across the country, especially for underserved areas, especially for greenfield projects. So it's basically a cooperation also between the company as well as the government, the LGUs, in order for them to expand the business.
And what I like about that, if you look at it as a template, the ones that give good dividends long term, from Meralco to SPC to Aboitiz Power, there's one thing connected to it. It's either power or water. So sila power, and I think for people who don't want to look at the intricacies of some stocks that are cyclical, I think this is something also that can be looked at, especially if your play is long term.
Yes, that's right. Let's say, for example, if a company doesn't pay dividends, then baka naman they're using that money to expand the business. So it comes either way, whether it would be in a form of dividends or in a form of growing your company. So growing your EPS, growing your earnings. So eventually that would translate also to the share prices. Of course, AC Energy is relatively a new company. So the dividends might come later on pa. Syempre, since they're in the process also of expanding their portfolio. In fact, they're planning to do an SRO also. So basically, that's sort of a capital raising. So you can say that actually AC is really looking to raise capital. So of course, don't expect dividends right away.
Got it. When people look at this and they start looking at the long-term debt equity of AC Energy, it's at 254 right now. Given that they're expanding, is this something that's acceptable to you, or this should be something na parang, uy, medyo mataas na to?
For me, I think it's unfair to look at it at this point since it's a newly acquired company. So basically, everything is coming from scratch as well. And especially with the entry of Ayala Corp, so definitely may capital infusion yun eh. But again, the company is in the process of raising capital, and the figures will be normalized once we see the earnings start to trickle in. Say, for example, they raise capital. In the next few years, we'll start to see that payoff once they start operating new power plants and even acquiring new power plants.
To everyone watching this, please remember, these are not stock tips, these are not stock picks, but I hope that after this, you still do your own due diligence when you start studying the stocks. Because at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your responsibility. You have to know what you're getting into. You have to know what stocks that you are buying. We talked about bargain stocks. And AC Energy right now has a PE of around 12. So it's at the higher end already of its price range. Kumbaga, it's closer to its highest high than where it was say, noong 2019. Do you recommend that people wait further for dips na lang since it's higher, or since the PE is relatively lower, pwede pa siya?
Say for example, if you're basing a 2020 earnings, but you should take note that people haven't priced in yet whatever will happen in 2021 or in 2022 or even the succeeding years. Well, you can anticipate what the company will earn in the next few years given the new power plant coming on stream. Siguro you can say na medyo priced in at this point, at this earnings. Depends also on your time frame, especially if you're buying the stock and holding it on for the next maybe 5 years, 10 years, because you believe that it has the potential to expand its power portfolio. Right now, a little over or a little under 500 megawatts pa lang si AC Energy. So if it has the capability to expand it further, and let's say for example, if it grows at the same scale of AP than FGen, and it will come out na baka hindi pala fairly valued at this point.
For people who have 5-year time horizon, when they analyze it, how far should they do their forward Ps? Kasi normally, I would say, kung 2020 nga, meron na estimated na 2020, meron din 2021. Pero if your time horizon is long, how far do you look into the future to estimate kung mura ba talaga siya? Kasi I keep telling people, it doesn't make sense plotting it 10 years into the future kasi baka ibang-iba na rin yung negosyo that time. Even Jollibee 2010 versus Jollibee 2020, yung scale of restaurants, wala pa sila noong 2010. So it's hard to compare it at that point. Pero I'm just curious on how you want to, how you guys analyze it also.
Usually we do our cash flows for maximum 5 years eh. So usually 3 to 5 years. And then siguro the 10 years might be too long. Kasi yun nga, as you mentioned, marami pwede mangyari during those period eh. So you only look at what's realistic. If they give, if a listed company gives a certain pipeline, then actually that's gravy for you. Kung let's say for example, sige, I am looking to, let's say, buy this power plant. I'm looking to buy this and then build a number of this. So at least in that case, you can already assume what the company will make in X number of years. Siguro yun nga, siguro a good time frame would be 3 to 5 years to do your DCF or discounted cash flow analysis. Yeah.
Final words for people. I'm curious ako, what do you like more? AC, ACN?
Same owned by Ayala's, but it's a very different company. Of course, AC has BPI, it has Globe. Let's say, for example, if you're only betting on the power sector, then of course, it's better to go directly to AC Energy. If you're looking at a more diversified portfolio na parang, teka muna, baka hindi pa sigurado yung power nila. So dito na lang ako sa AC, sa Ayala Corporation. It's a matter of choice whether you're really buying the power story or you're really buying the Ayala Corporation story. In terms of income contribution, medyo maliit pa si AC Energy out of the total portfolio of Ayala Corporation.
Yon, I hope you guys got a lot from this and I hope it gave you, kasi AC Energy is not something that's it's moving, but it's not talked about as much, and it's nice that for everyone watching this, at least you get enough information also so that you can do your research right after this. So thank you so much, Lexter Asurid. Guys, sobrang talino nito, one of the brightest minds in the Philippine financial industry. So thank you for joining us, and everyone, if you guys have any questions, just put them in the comment section and then we'll try to make new videos on that as well. So thank you, and I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you.